Good morning, everybody. Patty Ann here. Hang on just a second. I hope you have a cup of coffee or tea. I have tea today. Really good sweet tea. Anyway, I've been asked by several people to continue on with my Cricut Basics tutorials. And specifically, Alan asked me if I could do one on flatten. And then she said, and then could I do one on attach? So today the one is on flatten, and I'm going to show you some samples here of the difference between flattened and not. And I'm going to tell you of a really fun file that you can get for free today from Miss Kate Cuttables, and you can just play around with it and just see how it works for you. So follow me up here to Cricut Design Space, and where I went, oh, and by the way, don't forget to go to our Cricut Design Space. Let me go back here. Go right down here where it says Cricut Design Space with Patty Ann. That's our Facebook group, and we're getting quite a few members in there, and we're having a lot of fun. Yesterday, I even posted a challenge for everyone to try. So join us over there. The link will be down below, as well as my affiliate links. And boy, oh boy, do I appreciate those of you who have been using them. It really helps me to be able to keep this channel going. So thank you very much. All right, now on to Cricut Design Space. So I decided to look for something that I could use as a sample to show you what flatten means. So I looked in cartridges up here, and I was just searching around. I didn't actually search for art, but I came up to this one, and you can see where it is over here. It's the iris image. And that's the one I clicked, and I inserted it. And here it is now. And if you'll notice the way it comes in as a cut file. The box behind it is hidden. I could unhide it if I want to, but I do not want it there. So I click the eyeball to hide it again. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers in this file. And actually, if I go to cut it just like that, this is what I will end up with. I have 1, 2, 3, well, let's see. This was 1, and this was 1, and this was 1. And these were 1. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different layers, right? So in other words, I have all these pieces that were cut out. And this would turn out really pretty. I could put it together with glue, or this would be pretty with vinyl as well, and just kind of piece it together. And as I've told you time and time again, I'm not too good with puzzles, and I am doing this upside down, so that even makes it harder for me. But so I could glue this all together, and this is a cut file, you know, you're familiar with a cut file, right? So let's see, I think that goes like that. And where in the world does this go? I don't know. I don't know what this extra piece is for. But these go down here somehow. Okay, maybe you're yelling at me for what that's for, but I'm not sure just yet. Oh, and these pieces go up here and here. Anyway, you get the idea, right? This is a cut file. Now, if we go back to the same file in Cricut Design Space and say we don't want to cut it apart in all those little pieces, let's go back up here. What you can do is you can flatten it. When you flatten, it allows you to turn an image into a printable image for print then cut. So watch. Right now we had all of these layers. Remember, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. When I flatten this, I'm going to smash it down. I'm going to smush it down. I'm going to flatten it. So it's just one layer. It's going to keep its colors, but it's going to be one layer. I'm going to flatten it. So I'm going to select all of this. And of course, I could draw the box around it. Or if I'd prefer, I could just come, well, I thought Here we go. I can come up here to select all, and that selects everything. So what I'm going to do now is after I've selected everything, I'm just going to come down here to flatten. I want to flatten it. I want to smush it, flatten it down. But I want you to be observant of what happens up here in the layers panel. As you'll notice right now, each one of these is a cut. And we know that from the cuts I was just showing you. But if I flatten it, smash it down and flatten it, watch that layers panel. It gets smashed down into one layer all by itself. Now you may be wondering, well, there's a black box around that. Is that going to show here when I do print then cut? One way to know that easily is to come down to the canvas color where it says blank canvas, click on that, and then come up here to the color swatch and choose a color. And then you can see, nope, there is no box behind that. So this is good to go just like this. Now if we go to make it, here's what's going to happen. And I can show you down here what happened. So I flattened it, I smushed it on down to one piece, one layer. Now it's one piece of paper. Notice when I printed it on my printer that it did make this black box around there. You must have that black box around there. It's not going to be in your final product, but that is so that your Cricut machine knows where this image is on the paper. So what happens when you put this in your Cricut machine, there's on the motor head or whatever, the cutting head, there's this little light, and it's going to go like this and register all these registration lines. And it's going to take a couple of minutes. It's going to go all the way around it so it knows exactly where your image is on the paper. Otherwise, it could think it's, this big. It has to know that. Once it knows where these registration lines are, then it knows where to cut. So that's what I did. I took this, I put it on my mat, but I actually did another one, and it cut it. See, there are the registration lines, as I said, that it was monitoring, and then it cut this right out of there perfectly. So this was the flattened image. So when you flatten something, it flattens down to one piece, one print then cut. Before I flattened it, it was like this. Lots of little cuts. So let's look again at Cricut Design Space. Here's the let me go back one. Cancel this. And let's make this a white background again just so it looks better. Okay, here's the flattened image. How do we know that? Well, if you look over here at the layers panel, look what it says. It says flatten. It's a flattened image. It's a cut, print then cut. Right? If I undo this a few times and or just once, look what it is now. It just says iris. It doesn't say flattened. These are all individual cut files, just as they are down here. These cuts, each one of these out, they're not flattened. This has been smushed down and flattened into one piece, so that we can cut it as one piece as a print then cut. Okay, this one I can actually, it's grouped together. It's grouped together right now. If I ungroup this one that's the cut pieces, I could actually take them apart. Oh, I see, that one just goes right on top. Not sure why. Don't really need it though. So that one can be taken apart like that. However, let's put this back over here, and let's go one more time and grab everything and come down here to flatten it. I'm going to smash it down. I'm going to flatten it. Flatten. It's one piece. It's not grouped. There's no way to ungroup it, but I can't grab individual pieces because it is now just one piece. So that's what flatten does. Flattens it down to one print then cut piece. Okay, so here's a fun example that you can do. Let's go back up to my computer. If you go to Miss Kate Cuttables, have you ever been to Miss Kate Cuttables. I'll have a link down below. It's not an affiliate link, but so you can find it. And once you're in Miss Kate Cuttables, I'd like you to scroll down. Today is March 5th, 2019. This is today's freebie of the day. It's adorable. Okay. And then scroll down. And here's the freebie of the day. Now, I've already downloaded, so it doesn't ask me if I'd like to download it again because it knows me. I've already logged in. So anyway, what I'll do now is I'll just go ahead and come to Cricut Design Space again and go to New and replace this. So now assume that you've already downloaded your freebie of the day. It came in as a zipped file. You already unzipped it or whatever you need to do on your computer. And now maybe you need to extract it. I'm going to upload it. Well, there were two different SVGs that came in the file. There was one that was called Easter Bunny Apart and one that was called Easter Bunny Together. I'm not exactly sure why she has both of these, but I think that we probably just need the Easter Bunny Together one. So I'd like you to highlight that one. Well, let's highlight both of them and bring them both in by saying Insert. And notice they're both coming in as cut files. Here, whoop. Here is the one that she calls Easter Bunny Together, and this is Easter Bunny Apart. Notice one thing odd is that this one comes in with the Easter Bunny so small, because look at if I put this one over by it, how little it is. And if you don't know anything about this, like I didn't a few years ago when I bought something from a company, and it was this as small as this stuff on the left, and I thought I was supposed to try to put it together like that, and I was so frustrated. Now I know, of course, that, well, let me minimize this. I can make this thing as large as I'd like it to be, and as long as this fits on my 12 by 12 mat, the largest piece, or if you have a 12 by 24 mat, you can continue making this as large as you'd like it to be. Now, how would I know how tall this is right now? I can't tell unless I ungroup it, so I will ungroup it, and then I'm just going to click on the largest piece there is, and it's this one. And I see it's 9.36 inches tall. So let's imagine that I want to make it even taller than that. Could I just grab him and make it taller? Not really, because if I just grab that and make it taller, nothing else is going to fit properly anymore. You see, that's supposed to be his face. So what you have to do is group everything back together. Let me undo this first so it's the size it's supposed to be. And then group all of this stuff back together again, minus the little one on the right-hand corner peeking out. And then continue to resize things as a group. I could regroup them just to be extra careful. And resize these as a group. Now these would be like the cut files that I showed you with the iris. If you look down here again at my mat, these are all cut pieces. So every one of that little piece of every piece of the bunny is going to cut like these pieces over here. But we're going to see how to make the bunny be one piece that we can print and then cut. So come on back up here. Again, each one of these pieces is a cut file, and you can tell that by looking over here at the layers panel. See how it says cut beside each one? Well, right now I'm just going to delete this one out because we don't need it, because we're going to change her from a cut file, which everything is a cut file right now, to a print then cut. And the way we do that is by using that handy dandy little flatten tool. We're going to smush it down, take a rolling pin over it, flatten it down so it's just one flat piece. It's kind of a neat way to think about it. Think about a Play-Doh sculpture that you've made. And even though you take a rolling pin to it and flatten it, you can still see all the colors, but now it's all mushed together into one piece and it can't take it apart anymore into the different colors. So imagine that. She's made out of Play-Doh. I take a rolling pin to her, I flatten her with that rolling pin, and this is what she looks like. So again, look at the layers panel. Right now she's made out of all these cut pieces of Play-Doh. When we smash her down with that rolling pin, when we roll her over, when we flatten her, she's going to go from all those little pieces to one piece that's flat. And she's now going to be a print then cut. And we can print her then cut her if we have her the proper dimensions. She cannot be bigger than 9.25 inches tall or 6.75 inches wide, which seems awful to a lot of people. But if you really measure out a piece of paper that's exactly those dimensions and put it onto a piece of 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, which a lot of our printable stuff is, you're really not losing much. So let me go to make it and show you. So again, there she is. She's going to have this black box around her, and if it's not there, it's not going to work. And once I print it on my printer, so I'd go to continue, and I would send it to my printer. See, send to printer. And it shows me the way it's going to be put on my mat after I print it. I have to put her on here. Here's the top of my mat. I need to put her on there exactly like that after she's been printed in my printer. So let's cancel this. Say yes. And so there she is. Let's try one more thing. Might as well go back to Miss Kate Cuttables just because we're there. Oh my gosh, that guy's so cute. Oh, that is really cute. Let's look at that for a sec. That's adorable. That would be really cute on a little onesie, wouldn't it? You could use that printable stuff that you can get, the Jolene's from Joann's. Oh. Let me see though. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to Cricut Design Space and I'm going to upload something because I think I already have a bunch of things. Okay, the one I'm going to show you now is this one's called Boy Raccoon, and it's also from Miss Kate Cuttables. And this is probably one of the ones that I got in originally and tried to make at this size. Now it is 4 inches tall, but let's see how big some of these things are if I ungroup them. Like the little piece of grass, if I can get to it by itself, it's only 4/10 of an inch tall, which is less than half an inch tall. So it was really small pieces that I was working with, especially some of these little pieces in here. So how do I go about and make these larger if I do want them to be print, or not print and cut files? I keep them, oh, did I miss him? No, there it goes. I keep it all grouped together and I stretch it at the same time, right? So then everything is proportionately stretched. But let's imagine that instead of doing that, I just want to have him be a print then cut. Well, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make sure that it is not taller than 9.25 inches. And if it's 9.25 inches tall, it can't be more than 6.75 wide. So I need to change the width then and let the height change to whatever it can be. So that's as big as I can make it. He's 7 inches tall, over 7 inches tall, and almost 7 inches wide. So now I can make him a print then cut. Instead of having all these cut files over here, I can flatten him and make him a print then cut. Perfect. Now I can go to make it, and she will print out on one and then cut around her, and then he will print on another and cut around him. But let's just think about one last thing. Let me delete this fellow and imagine we're back to her, and we're going to make some Easter decorations for in some table decorations, and we want it to be double-sided. How could we do that? The only thing you have to do to make this print and cut on another piece of cardstock that you could put on the back of this one is first to duplicate it. And now if you just glued it onto the back of this one, it would not be right. So what you need to do is come up here to flip horizontal. And now this one would fit perfectly on the back of this one. And you would just go to make it, and one would be cut and printed and cut on one piece of cardstock and the other on another piece of cardstock. And then what I like to do sometimes, if they're really, really big things that I'm making, I like to put some popsicle sticks, flat ones, in here to give it a little bit extra stability. And then you could put a popsicle stick or something, or a chopstick down here in between the two layers, glue them together, and then stick them into a cake, stick them into a flower arrangement. That'd be a cute thing for a new baby boy or something like that. So remember, the main thing about flatten is it allows you to turn any image into a printable image for print then cut. It allows you to change any image into a printable image for print then cut. Again, see, this one over here came in as a cut file. If I have it all highlighted and I come down here to flatten, imagine again that rolling pin just rolling over top of it, flattening all those colors down, but not jumbling them together, just flattening them down, and then it changes it into one layer that can be printed and then cut. So I hope this makes a little bit of sense. Let me know if you have some more questions. I'd be glad to try to answer them. Thank you again for joining me. Please give me a thumbs up if you like my videos, and hit the little bell and subscribe. Join us over at the Facebook group, and don't forget, if you're in the market to buy something, I really appreciate it if you use my affiliate links. So again, thank you guys. Bye-bye.